The Gi Spot. I'd hit that.
Welcome to the Gi Spot podcast. My name's Rachael Bradshaw and I'm a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu.
Hi, I'm Kaz Page and I'm a purple belt in Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm very happy that you got through that. I was waiting to see if you'd remember. Yesterday was a bit of a big day, hey?
Yeah, well, we ended it on a high note, but I don't even know if I want to ask you how your week's been, because we're going to how's your year been?
Today is the day, right? Today is the day. So today is all things retrospective.
Yeah.
And coming into the end of the year, we just thought that we'd do a catch up, right?
Yep.
How are you? And a little bit more about who we are.
Yeah.
So we're going to break it down because I have no idea how many episodes we've done, I'll be honest.
I think we're up to 26 or 27, which is like 6 months
Yeah,
worth.
that's right.
Yeah.
Right. So we're going to talk about how that came about.
Yep.
We're going to talk about pretty much from the day we met.
Yeah. Let's do it.
So let's rewind all the way back to November 2023.
Yes.
Prior to that, Matt and I had decided that things weren't working the way I guess we were comfortable with in the home that we were at, and that we had started
The
kids,
Jiu-Jitsu home?
The Jiu-Jitsu home,
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
And so we'd started, you guys had a homeschool class.
Yes.
And that had been going for quite some time.
Probably about the year, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and one of our homeschool friends had their kids in that class.
Right.
And she kept saying, just bring your kids, just bring your kids. We're like, no. So when we decided, I had quit jiu-jitsu. So that was probably a big thing for me. I had made the stand that I was still training here in my home gym.
Yep.
With the rats and with my husband and kids, but I wasn't going into the school anymore. And I decided that I was going to start bringing the kids to your homeschool class. Knew nothing about you guys. And we were going to start bringing the kids to the homeschool class. Matt and I had to have a really big discussion because, as we've talked about previously, Matt was really close to his black belt.
Yep.
And it was a really big thing for him to have to make that decision too. And we've talked about that and we got there, obviously. But in our discussions, one of the things that happens with me and being autistic and having to learn through the differences, I don't read humans well. And I just want everybody to be happy and, come into the fold. And I'm quite childlike in that regard, that I just want everybody to play nice and be happy and be friends.
The more the merrier.
That's right. Yeah, come on in. It opens us up sometimes to not good people with not good intentions.
Yep.
And that hurts a lot. So in our discussions of we're going to transition and all the rest of it, Matt's only request of me was, please don't make friends. Look how well that worked for us.
It didn't.
Fail. I'm sure we've got music somewhere. But we have talked once or twice about, your first impressions of me when I came into
I don't think
Iconic.
we've actually ever really told the story.
Oh, haven't we?
No.
I
I think we sort of hinted and then said, we'll talk about that on another day.
Yeah.
But so Matt had been bringing the girls in to homeschool class, and then Matt had started bringing the girls into the teens class that we'd run on a Wednesday evening as well.
Yep.
And at that time, we had the setup a little bit different. So my desk and office was at the front door. There was a little seat there, and that was pretty much Matt's seat. Every time he'd come in, he'd sit in that seat. So it was cool because I'm not involved in the teens classes where Grant and a couple of the other coaches take that over.
Yep.
That's sort of my 1 hour where I fix up office stuff and, tidy up around. And anyway, beside the point.
HR lady.
Yeah, HR lady, cleaning lady, everything else lady. But it was cool because I got to know Matt a little bit because he'd sit there and watch the class and because I was behind the desk, we'd converse a little bit back and forth. Anyway,
And he's lovely, right?
Oh, he's
First
very
impressions.
Easy, very easy to get along with.
Yeah, he's really
top
nice.
guy. Good job,
Because
Kaz.
he's sitting here. But he is personable.
He is.
And he is friendly.
Yeah, absolutely. But the first day I met you, you walked in and you were standing there at my desk, and I remember you being way taller in that memory.
Yeah.
Because I think you were so upright with your posture, and your chin was a little high, and it was kind of like, I've got all my walls up right now. Am I correct?
Yeah. I'm not allowed to be friends with you.
No, and I don't even think you cracked a smile at me or anything, and you just said, I'm here to pay for the girls. And very, very quickly in my head, I did maths, because I was like, no, the only people that are on a weekly just casual thing at the moment is the page girls. So they're the ones I'm assuming she's paying for. Okay. So I'm like, oh, okay, no worries, blah, 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 and sorted that out with you. And then you said thank you very stoically, and you sat down. And I was like, oh, who is this lady? Is she their mum? Is she an auntie? Like, I was trying to work it out in my head.
You can say it. Is she the grandma?
No, never thought that for
Okay,
a second.
right.
I just thought like maybe you were once removed somehow because you weren't like, oh, they're my girls, or I'm here to pay for the girls. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, you sat down, and I'm sort of doing all this in my head, and I thought, no, I really like this family. Hey, I really love them to become a part of what we've got going on here. I wonder if I can win her over.
The challenge is set.
So do you remember that and what I said to you? No. So I've come over to you, and I've bent down, and I've looked into your level, and I've gone, the girls are doing so good. Then they're such beautiful girls. And your eyes have just sparkled. Oh, yeah. And you smiled up at me, and I went, oh, got her.
Talk nice about my kids and I'm all in.
I know. It took me all of 5 seconds to win you over.
I was working so hard. I promise.
Never a wall was easier to break down.
It's like, oh, shiny toy, you're nice. Let's play.
So sorry, Matt. I foiled the intention.
The plan.
Yeah, the plan. Anyway.
It's okay though, because I've learned over the years, and it's taken me time to obviously I didn't grow up knowing I was autistic. They are not things that, back in the 70s and 80s were wildly known or worldly known even. And it wasn't something that my parents ever acknowledged.
And if it was because it was the extreme end of the spectrum.
Absolutely.
Like
non-functioning.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. And, getting tested and acknowledging all these things and working in the world with the psychologists and doing our own research and having children that are on spectrum as well, obviously then flips the coin where you have to be more invested in this. You have to learn to understand more about yourself. I'm being profiled at the moment in this space because I am what they class as, I always laugh and say I'm left of center, right? But in the autistic world, I'm left of center again. A lot of the white papers and research that gets done is around autistic females in my age bracket being more flight and more introverted. Right. So I become the exception to that rule because from an early age I've been a fighter.
Yep.
And I've chosen that path. And there is a myriad of reasons behind that we don't need to go into today. And, I'm even learning more about that with the team and everything as we go through it. But for me, there is this balance of I'll fight or I'll love, and I'll do both equally. And so when it doesn't work, if I lose the fight or if I lose the love, I'm shattered. And I have to work really hard to try and figure out where I went wrong and all the rest of it. And that brings everybody around with me on a journey, right? That's not always pleasant.
Yep.
And so Matt's whole thing about, we had just been through some really hard stuff, and I had been burnt and hurt and all the rest of it. And so he's like, promise me, do not. And I had learned through time to, babe, are these good people? Can we be friends with these people, please? It's like, don't trust me. Let me go to him who can work out humans better. Yeah. And so I remember coming home and going, it feels like a good fit. I don't know about you, Matt, but for the girls, they seem happy. And I think it was like either the second or the third time I had brought the kids in and gone home and gone, I think I could train there. I think I could train there even if you don't come. Like, he's my security blanket in this world, right? There is no disputing that whatsoever.
Yep.
But I think I could go there. I would love you to come. I understand it's a huge decision, but I think I could. And I said to him at one point, I need you to tell me they're okay. I need you to tell me I'm not reading this wrong. And he gave me the permission that I needed from him to go, it's okay, you can be friends with her.
Thanks, Matt.
And it was, you know, I don't know. People go, oh, you don't need people. You know, you can do shit alone and you don't need humans. I call bullshit on that. I really do. I think you go through life and, yeah, people will hurt you and they'll do shit that you don't expect and they'll surprise you in the most awful and horrific ways. But it's worth it because every so often you find someone that you just know you've got for life.
Yeah.
And they may hurt you, but they're never going to do it selfishly or maliciously. And if you go, whoa, hold up, they're going to go, oh, fuck. And you're going to work through it. Those people are rare.
Yep.
I don't think we find a lot of them in life, but I'm grateful that I found you.
Well, ditto, my friend, because like you, I have also been burnt in friendship. Yep. And so when my initial thoughts were, I really like this family. I think we're a very family-oriented academy.
Yep.
And I was like, I can see how you guys would fit in really well here. But it was never about, oh, here's someone that I am going to bring in to be one of my best friends. Do you know what I mean? It was still like customer. And I had put up those walls because I had been burnt by previous students and friends or people that I thought were friends. So I don't know when the transition happened. And I don't think it was too long later.
I feel about Jan, Feb, we really started talking more and we started hanging out a little bit outside of the school. I know over that Christmas period last year, and I think music was a big part of it too.
Music's such a huge part of our lives.
Yep.
So talk me through your memories coming into Iconic and what struck you and what made it feel like home for you and all of those sorts of things.
Do you know, there's a couple of really big things about it. So it doesn't matter where you go, right? You're going to have clusters of people. People will just cluster in.
Yep.
And that still happens at Iconic. There's still clusters. There just is. But every single cluster is lovely. And I've not experienced that much in my life anywhere.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if it's the young 20-year-olds or the hard, strong, whatever it is. Every single cluster in that gym was lovely.
And they don't shut people out.
No.
That's the thing.
It.
It's not a closed cluster.
No. You can go hang with any of them. No problems at all.
Yeah.
And you will find those that you're comfortable with. Like I've got my cluster at the gym. It's the middle-aged family, mums and dads, and we all kind of gather because it's like-minded, right? We've got things to talk about outside of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And that's largely what the clusters will come about from. But in the saying that, I can leave my cluster and go sit with any other cluster and it doesn't matter. But on the mat, you can roll with anyone. And again, I was very guarded. I was very, in my previous worlds, it was the Rats and it was Matt. And I very rarely, if I was going to another gym, didn't matter shit. I don't know what it was about my home gym where I felt like I needed to stay in my little bubble. I don't know. And so I came to Iconic with that mentality, like I was going to build a bubble and that's where I was going to stay. That hasn't been the case. And it's not that everybody fought me not for it to be the case. It just didn't need to be the case, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that was my first impression. When we first got there, how, even my kids came in like, motherfuckers, get out of my way, right? And everybody was like, whoa, who the fuck are these kids? But even they calmed down with it really quickly and slipped in and, you know, they've made the best mates and it's, the crew's going out on the weekend, they're going to the movies or they're doing this and da-da-da.
Yeah.
So they made friends, not just training partners. And that happened fairly quickly in the piece too. I think the biggest striking moment for me was when I joined the women's class. And I had never, ever, and interestingly enough, in my profiling, I lean towards men. And I lean towards men because there's no emotions. I don't have to interpret because these are the things that I'm not good at. I'm not good at sarcasm. I'm not good at understanding. You say one thing, but your body language says the other. And
how do you get along so well with Grant then if you don't understand sarcasm?
Because I just laugh at everything. And then he has a twitch where he sort of changes a little bit and you know he's serious. And I'm like, okay, I get that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've learnt to read him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, he kind of speaks my language a little bit. So, a lot of the time Matt will say something and I'll answer and he's like, babe, I wasn't serious. I'm like, well, fuck, how was I supposed to know? I don't know. I just answer everything. So by female, and I'm a female, so I get the irony of this, but I don't understand females. That's why I've had like probably 5 friends my whole life and it doesn't vary very much. And so with men, you can just say shit and they're fine with it. With females, you say shit and they're offended and I don't realise I've offended.
Or they're reading it the wrong way.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And so I get misunderstood a lot. And so I've pretty well always kind of kept a wall away. I really liked you and I really liked hanging out with you. I love rolling with you. I love you, but I really love rolling with you and I get a lot from you when we're together in jiu-jitsu. I learn a lot. Even when we're not talking, when we're just rolling, I learn a lot from feeling your body movements and stuff like that. And I picked up on that pretty quickly.
Yep.
But I also picked up on how important the women's class was to you. And so for me, it was kind of like a conundrum. I want to be a really good friend for you, but that means stepping into a world that's really fucking uncomfortable for me. And so, again, talking to Matt, it's like women's class means a lot to Rach. And if I step into this world, hopefully I can do some good in there and I can be a part of something that's really important to her. But I don't like women. They're going to be mean to me. They're just not.
Yeah.
You know, the crew that you have built, the crew that comes every week to that mat, they're just amazing and have become some of my closest friends. Like, we go camping with these people. We hang out on weekends with these people.
Yep.
So that was probably the biggest clinch for me to go, oh, maybe I've got this wrong all these years. Maybe I just haven't found the right women. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe I just haven't found that right cluster that really worked for me. I never feel like I have to be anyone other than me in that cluster. And it doesn't matter if we're on the mats, in the bleachers, at the house in Foster, at a restaurant in Terrigal. I never feel like I have to put my cloak on with that group of women.
That's awesome.
It's so awesome.
And freeing, I
Yeah.
would imagine.
I can breathe.
Yeah.
And I don't come home I come home exhausted from jiu-jitsu,
Yes.
not from having to be
Emotionally
society Karen as
Yeah.
opposed to home Karen.
set up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's
it's huge.
lovely.
So that was probably the biggest thing for me transitioning into this gym. It gave me that.
So you probably had about 2 months of comfort. Well, discomfort because you're in a new gym, but comfort is in no pressure. And then I guess we tapped you on the shoulder pretty early on and said, you need to have a purple belt.
Yep.
What can we do to make this happen?
Yeah, take all the anxiety away from me.
And we've done a whole episode on that. So
yeah.
if you're really interested in going in depth into that part of Kaz's story, that's one of the really early episodes that we did on Kaz getting a purple belt grading.
Yeah, which was huge.
Which was really awesome.
Yeah. Looking back now, retrospectively, amazing. But tell me, what did you think when you first tapped me
Yeah.
and then watched me melt down? Did you think, oh, fuck, we've got some crazy crazy person here. How the hell are we going to do this now?
No, we've dealt with emotions before.
Did you think I would ever fail it?
No.
Okay.
Because I know that you're a very, very determined human being. That was one of the things I picked up very early on about your personality was how determined and straightforward and like you, if I gave you a hint of something, the next day it was all organised. And I'm still in the, hang on, I'm still trying to process my own thought phase. I'm not ready for that yet. And then what I just almost giggled at then was there was something that happened the other day that I mentioned to you in passing, and the next day you had it all organised, and I can't even remember what it was at this point. But I remember I had Connor in the car with me, and I started laughing. He's like, "What's up?" And I went, "Oh, just Kaz. I mentioned something in passing yesterday, and it's like all systems go today, and I haven't even thought twice about it in the meantime."
It's been Kazismed.
Chasmed.
Yeah, chasmed. Yeah. Don't give me an inch. I will take the mile.
But I picked that up really early with you. And so, yeah, I knew that you were a determined person.
So how, like, I know going through those few months leading into the purple belt that I probably lost my shit more than, and not in the school, not in class time or anything like that, but when we were doing the one-on-one stuff and when you were helping me with Matt, I know, and when Grant was helping me, and there was moments there where I would just lose my shit emotionally, and because that's what I do, right? Like if I get to a boiling point, then I either have a fit or I lose it, and that makes me more angry because to me, I don't like crying. And my body just goes, oh, well, too bad. Suck it up, Nancy.
I wonder what would happen if you changed your mindset on that when I really like crying. Whether that would take some trick your brain psychologically into not putting as much pressure on yourself in those moments.
And then maybe I would just trickle a little bit and then not cry more because I get really more angry. But what was going through as a coach watching all of this? And you said that you've seen emotion, people go through this before. How do you regulate you through this not to go, oh, for fuck's sake, get over it? Because that's what I would do to someone like me. I know, right? Oxymoron, I get it. I don't do empathy well.
I do empathy well.
You do?
No, I don't ever remember having that thought. I remember feeling for you. I remember being a little worried for you. But I also remember thinking, no, she's got this. We just got to get her through. We're just going to help her, And I think also as that was developing as the same time that our friendship was developing.
Yeah.
So there was nothing for me to be mad about or frustrated at. It was just you. You
guys were amazing. Like both you and Grant through that whole thing. I never once felt like I was being a pain. I never once felt like I was annoying you guys through the process, which is, me knowing how I react to things like that when it's other people. And I get how bad that sounds, but I never felt that from you. It's one of the things that I've had to work on for other people because I've not naturally been good with empathy.
I think what made the difference was you were so open about talking about where you were at and what you've gone through and your life experiences that have brought you to this point. I think the frustration that ever occurs as a coach is when you see someone reacting in a certain way and you don't have any reasons as to why. Oh, yeah. And then you're just like, why are you behaving like this, or why are you doing this, or, why are you breaking down? Like, what can I do to help? And they're like, no. And they don't let you in. And as soon as I know their story, as soon as I know the background or what trauma has led to this point, it changes everything for me as a coach because then I can meet them where they're at. Yep. Until that point, they've got all the walls up. It's kind of like trying to climb up this slippery slope of a wall, peeking over and then sliding back down again. And it becomes frustrating as a coach, not being able to help the person get through. But the more I know, the more I can help. Yeah. So I think that's probably why, because you were so open and upfront. Yeah, I mean, you've written a whole book about it. And I read your book early on too.
Yeah.
So it's all in there.
Yeah.
So I was able to know the history of Kaz.
Yeah.
You know, and then we were able to just converse about it normally. It wasn't like you were opening any secrets up to me or anything like that. You know, and you guys were doing a podcast and I was listening to those episodes too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's one thing I was like, we've never hidden anything. There's just, you know, if you.
So it makes it really easy to be your coach because there's nothing hidden. There's no hidden agendas or anything like that. It's just, it's all out there on the open. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you guys nailed it because I don't know that I would have got through the purple belt.
Oh, you would have.
Yeah,
You had it.
I technically.
Yeah.
But it was the emotional side that may have crippled me had I have not been given the space to be me. Does that make sense? Like if I had to have put the cloak on to get through it, I'm not sure that I would have had enough strength to wear the cloak and not be me and get through that. Like the pressures of both is really high. And anyone out there with autism will understand what I'm talking about when I say wearing the cloak, because there are things in our world, and as you get older, there's things that you just you have to work harder at not being in normal society, because there is more non-neurodivergent people than there are neurodivergent people. And it's only now that we're starting to learn more about it and all the rest of it. So, you know, wearing the cloak can be hard. It can be exhausting. And so I don't think that I would have got through if I had to wear that. And, you know, I remember on the day going to the bathroom and Grant tapping me on the shoulder and was like, go to the bathroom, wash your face, take some deep breaths, stay in there a couple of minutes, just be calm. What I didn't realise was that he was getting me out of the way so he could have a talk to everybody and go, be cool.
Yeah.
Just let her be whatever she needs to be right now for the next 10 minutes. Let her get through this and just be cool.
Yeah.
And everybody on that mat was there for me.
Yeah.
Like there is no disputing it. So everybody would have been cool, but he allowed them to understand that I'm a little bit left of center and it might not look like everybody else had been going through. And I found out about that later, and that to me was pure love. That's just, you know, somebody having my back.
What was the date you got your purple belt?
I have no fucking idea.
Oh, you don't remember?
No.
I just had something occur to me in my mind as you were talking, and that is you were going through one of the biggest tests probably of your life. It's so ridiculous to say because it's not a big test, but I think for you in that moment, it was a lot for you.
It was. And jiu-jitsu wasn't something – I've been through all kind of tests in my life, but I've chosen to be there. I've chosen to pursue and to understand. I felt like jiu-jitsu, I was rocking up for 5 years or 6 years, and then all of a sudden in that window of 6 months, I had chosen to be there for me.
Yeah.
I felt like I had to absorb 7 years in 6 months.
Yeah.
So it was huge.
Yeah. But at the same time, from December till April, I was losing my dad.
Yes.
So we had a combined trauma,
Yeah.
I guess if you could say.
Yeah, absolutely.
That maybe, like, you were really there for me. I remember that through that whole period. Like, you were my sounding board. I was frustrated. I was angry. I was sad. I was going through all these different things, you know. He wasn't pleasant towards the end. He had dementia, so he wasn't himself.
And it had been a hard relationship for you with
It was
him
never
anyway.
an easy relationship, but it
Yep.
certainly wasn't that. that was a real tick at the end, you know.
Yeah.
And I was the only. I am the only daughter.
Yep.
He has other children to a previous marriage, but they weren't really there.
No.
You know, they live in another state. So
Yep.
I was it.
Yeah.
It all fell on my shoulders. So you were really such a rock for me through that period. So I really appreciate that. And then I hope that maybe I was a bit of a rock for you through
Oh, absolutely.
that. I think that's probably how you and I just went,
Yeah.
right, this is cool.
I think too, I had lost my dad.
Yeah.
And he wasn't an easy man either. So on some level, I could empathise with you.
Yeah.
I had felt that sensation. And I also know that you don't let a lot of people in.
No.
So very few knew what you were going through. And as stupid as this sounds, I was so not excited. Excited's not the right word, but
Honoured.
yeah,
Yeah.
to be that person.
Yeah.
Like I knew, and it meant that I could be there for you, and it meant that I could hopefully soften the days just a little bit for you.
Yeah.
And that was huge for me. That's like, okay, to be let in, I let people in. Like that's my flaw and it's my gift. You don't, and I knew that early on. So I knew that I had earned it. And that to me is huge. That's really special. So yeah, I'm grateful that I was able to be there for you, because that meant the world to me as well, as selfish as that sounds.
No, I totally get it, and I feel the same way, and yay.
Yeah, right. And, you know, trauma bonds. It just does in humans. There's no two ways about it. But it also allows you to heal, I think, maybe a little bit quicker too, if you've got that person that you can trust with those levels of feelings as well, which makes a huge difference. And then, God love you, what did you come to me and say?
I don't remember. What are you talking about?
Where are we today? So a couple of months after, you'd been listening to our podcast.
Oh, yes.
And you had a thought.
Well, hang on. Let's rewind, because there was something else really big that we did implement at Iconic because of you guys.
There was. That's right. That's very true.
And this was early on. This was
very.
You hit me up pretty much on our second roll.
You can tell.
I think you guys joined and Christmas and New Year's had happened, and I remember where we were even on the physical mat when you spoke to me about this, and you started saying, you know, Matt's a veteran.
You can see where my passions lie, hey?
Yeah. We would love to. Well, you go on.
So, and again, there's a bit of a backstory to this, because I cannot stress enough, when I say jiu-jitsu saved Matt's life, that's not tongue-in-cheek. It's not a throwaway sentence. It's not being dramatic and all the rest of it. Matt has been through suicidal ideation, right? We have been to the brink of nearly losing my husband, my children's father. And it's all related to his time in service and the accident that happened, and removing a part of who he was as a human. Matt was a soldier. He loved it. Everything about him, he breathed it, and he did it well, and he took pride in it. And then all of a sudden, in a split moment of an accident, it's all gone. And then the turmoil of what you have to go through as an ex-serving member, injured or otherwise, to be honest, is pretty fucking dark. So he found, and he had been searching for a long time. Like, there had been other things that he had tried and all the rest of it. And we've got all the stories in both podcasts about that. But he found jiu-jitsu, and jiu-jitsu gave him a sense of camaraderie. It gave him a place to go and push and be pushed. It allowed him in the most caveman form to be a man. And you don't get that in a lot of other places. Whether he's rolling with a female or a male is irrelevant. It allowed him to be hard and to think, and to have to physically think and mentally think and bring all that shit together.
Leave it all on the mat, go home exhausted but happy.
Exactly right? And so the more jiu-jitsu he did, the less the black dog was able to take hold. So through that journey, if he was training a lot, we were seeing less of the dark side. And you would see, you know, peaks and flows. If for whatever reason jiu-jitsu or the boys, you know, there wasn't a lot around or whatever, or if it was, you know, he wasn't getting to train for whatever reason, then you would see the dips come real quick. So we knew it was working for him. We wanted other veterans to experience that. We wanted other veterans. There is the other side of it too, that Matt had to choose to do that. He had to choose to turn up every week. He had to invest in himself. He had to believe that he was worth it enough to go every week and get something from this and feel better for it. So we wanted other veterans to take that, to run with that. And we had spent, from writing the book to releasing it, we had spent a long time trying to get some sort of programs up, you know, in our school, in other places, etc. And it always seemed to be too hard. It just seemed to be a battle. I guess, you know, in the civilian world, when you don't know what you don't know, I get it. Yeah. So when we came to Iconic, and, you know, we decided that you guys were really nice, and we decided that we were going to be friends, and, you know, we had a couple of social interactions, and I think you guys had already said, hey, bring the book in. Bring the book in and put the book on the shelf.
Yep.
The minute you were so forward in support of that, and the minute you were so acknowledging and aware of Matt's service, I thought, fuck it, it can't hurt to ask.
You won't know unless you ask.
That's it. So I just said, hey, what do you think about? And what happened?
Well, I was just like, yeah, sounds great.
Let's do it.
And then I said, I think there was another gym doing something similar to that at one point. We always thought it was a great idea. We didn't want to step on anyone's toes. And you replied, no, that was us. Yeah. so it's all us.
Yeah. We tried.
We want to do this. So from that point, it was like, okay.
Yep.
You know, let's do it.
And we did.
And
so
it was up and running within, I don't know, 3 weeks.
Yeah, it didn't take long at all.
Did not take long at all.
Brochures were done. Team was brought together.
Yep.
It was all just the time was allocated.
Yep.
And the whole background to it was find a time, find a space. You know, in the schedule for Iconic, and we had you as the head coach and Matt as the veteran coming together to go, hey, if you're a veteran first responder in need, come.
Yep.
And come and be a part of something that's bigger than you. Come build your camaraderie, come. And they did. Mm-hmm. And not only did they come, but then places like Newcastle, what's the
Harbour Combat Sport.
Harbour Combat reached out.
Yep, and they came in as a sponsor.
Yep.
Because we were already donating so much as far as time and you know, the cost of training and all of that was concerned.
Yep.
The only thing we were going to charge for was the gi uniform, and Harbour Combat went, nope, we're going to pay for that for
We've
these
got
guys.
You covered as
yeah,
well.
so it doesn't have to cost them a cent. For 10 weeks, they can absolutely train for free.
And not only did they come, but then they immersed themselves into the broader community.
Yeah, so on my way over here today, I was doing a count, and then we added a few more to the list, and I think we came up with 12.
Yeah.
We've had other ones start and not stick, you know, but I mean, that's going to happen in any format anywhere, right? Yep. People are still people after all, but we've got 12 veterans that are on the mats whose lives have been changed, and they'll freely tell you that. You know, it's not a secret. Their lives have changed for the better since starting jiu-jitsu.
Well, you've interviewed a lot of them. Those snippets are up on your website as well.
Yeah, on our Instagram.
On the Instagram. People can go and see that as well. And we're doing the movie as well, and we've got one of them that's a part of that process too. It just, you know, I don't know. I reckon it saves them.
Yeah, it's all about this is what we're here for. You know, it's what Grant and I wanted to do in the first place. When we very first started teaching and opening Iconic, it was about making better people.
Yep.
You know, great jiu-jitsu, yes, let's do the best we can for their jiu-jitsu, but let's make really good people.
Yeah, and it does. And it's, you know, from the veterans class, the whole concept there was people who had already given so much to feel like they're seen, to feel like they're heard, to feel like they're appreciated for what they sacrificed in service. Whether it's defence service, frontline service, it's all a world in which I would say 98% of us will never do. Mm-hmm. We would never put ourselves in that level of work, danger, whatever.
Into the firing line.
Into the firing line to protect others. These people do. It doesn't matter which way you cut it. That's what the police do. That's what the paramedics do. That's what the medical services do in accident and emergency and things like that, where it's all unpredictable. And Australian Defence Force do it. All the defence forces around the world do it. They're going into situations that are unpredictable, and humans, by and large, are unpredictable. And then you get the fucktards that take it that extra step. Most of us will never put ourselves in that situation, and we don't really understand how much we're protected by these people being there dealing with these fucktards. So the opportunity for Iconic to step up and to see how quickly you responded was just amazing.
Well, as I just said yes, and then the next day it was done.
I like to organise.
You are a force to be reckoned with, my friend.
I do get very laser focused about things. And, you know.
But I actually really enjoyed that too.
Yeah.
Because usually anything that gets implemented or whatnot, you know, it sort of lands on my shoulders, and that's the choice we've made. You know, Grant still works a full-time job during the day as a teacher. So the business and the running of the business is my baby. So the fact that I had you go, I'll take care of everything.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, this is so nice.
Yeah. Matt doesn't
like
always
executive assistant here.
I got a PA. Woohoo! I'm the best PA there is. Matt doesn't always like my organisational skills, but you know, for the most part, it's a superpower.
It is definitely one of your many superpowers, definitely, for sure. So yeah, that's been a huge thing that's happened for us this year.
Yeah.
Probably one of the biggest, I would say, in new things that have been implemented into Iconic.
Yep.
And that's, you know, direct thank you to you and Matt for that, because you guys are the driving force behind it. We're just along for the ride, and we're loving it. So it's good.
It didn't happen without you. So I think it's equal parts. And I think, you know, from all the people that are benefiting from it, thank you.
Yeah.
Because they may or may not have chosen one day to get there, but we made it a whole lot easier for them. And watching them rock up every week, and how well you can't tell on the mats who's who in the zoo. No. That's the one thing I love about this, is that everybody leaves their history at the door and comes in, and everyone's just accepting, you know, and it doesn't matter what demons you might have in your head. And you know, everybody has some demon. I don't care who you are. You're walking with a demon. You haven't been perfect your whole friggin' life. You're walking with a demon. But they just get left at the front door. And you pick him up on your way out, but you're so fucking exhausted, you're like, fuck off and shut up, I'm not listening to you today. Which is exactly what it needs to be.
Yep.
And when you're sitting at home and you think that demon's going to kick in and have a word, get up and go to Iconic. Get up and go and have a roll. Because that's what shuts that shit down a lot of the time. And it's important. And it's empowering. So I loved the veterans class. I loved the veterans program, the veterans and first responders. And I love now seeing that all these people that walk through the door needing this have grown to the point now where they're helping the next round come through.
Yeah, it's just part of their life now.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, until, you know, people like, you know, EJ saw his hand off and...
Oh, goodness gracious. Get better soon, EJ.
Yes, EJ, hurry up and get better.
He didn't actually saw his hand off, people, but by the sounds of it, it came close.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah.
So we, as everybody knows, Matt and I, we wrote our story, right? My Broken Soldier. And a lot of people came to us and said, what happened next? Where are you now? It's kind of like, you know, that the movie ends, but everybody wants to know what happens. I wasn't at the right headspace to write another book at that point. There's some more information coming soon. But we decided we would do a podcast.
Yep.
So we created Love Conquers so that we could keep talking. And that's what we do every week. You knew about it. And you kept making comments to me about the episodes, which were amazing. It's like, oh, somebody's listening. And then you turned around one day and went, hey, how would you feel about doing another podcast?
Well, this was after you and I had gone to Foster for a weekend.
Oh, okay.
And I remember sitting on the back balcony with you, and we were just talking and talking and there was just no pause in the conversation. There was no weirdness, or it flowed so well, and we had this way of bantering back and forth and bouncing off each other, and it was just fun.
Yep.
And yeah, I think
was that at the women's one or the family ones?
I don't remember. I just remember it was you and I on the back.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, and that's where I kind of came home, and I was listening to another one of your episodes with Matt, and I was like, and you had gotten Grant and I onto the podcast.
Oh, yeah, we got you onto Love Conquers.
And gosh, that was fun.
It was.
It was so fun.
We had a ball.
I was like, man, I'd love to do that every week. Why does she get to have all the... No, I wasn't. No, but it was kind of like, I could imagine doing something like that with you.
Yep.
And so I flicked you a message.
How long did you... No, it was at the gym.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was at the gym. And you went, hey, how do you feel about... And I'm like, yes. What are you thinking? But what were you thinking? Like, where did you... Because you had the idea. When you came to me, it felt like you had given it some thought.
Well, I'd sort of thought how fun it would be. I did also think, you know, it's in sort of a niche area, but there's a lot of podcasts, a lot of jiu-jitsu podcasts out there that are male-oriented, you know, and have that perspective. There are a few really great female ones too, and I felt like they were more directed at females. What I wanted to do with you was do a podcast from the feminine perspective, but for everyone.
Yep.
And so we would have male guests come on. We would talk to our husbands and have their opinions on certain things. We would get, you know, we talk about universal issues, and also I wanted to go deeper. Yep. You know, a lot of stuff stays at that sort of top surface level stuff.
Politically correct.
Yeah, I wanted to go deeper into, okay, let's talk about anxiety and let's really get into the nuts and bolts of it. So let's make our episodes a little bit longer and go really deep and try and hash this stuff out. So that's kind of what I thought. And when I presented it to you, I think you were pretty keen.
I was excited as. I love doing this. I mean, you know, we all know I can talk with gravel underwater. So the opportunity to keep talking, it's like, but I also like hanging out with you.
Yeah.
And we do spend, I mean, you know, I think Grant makes more comments about it than anybody about how much time we spend. He said something the other day, something happened and he goes, well, I know you already know about this anyway. I don't know if I'm supposed to answer yes or no to that.
Am I getting caught out here? It's a trap. It's a trap.
How
Back
much
away.
trouble am I in?
Was that with the singing?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, it was too. Yeah, you singing on stage. And I'm like, yes. Oopsie-daisy.
Well, you were there at rehearsals, so.
Yeah, that's right. I saw it all. But I like hanging out with you. I think, you know, and a lot of the feedback we get is you two banter so well, and we did anyway. And so this is one of the biggest highlights of my week. I love doing this.
I love recording day. It's like, it felt really long this week because we're a day late recording this week. But I'm really glad we are, because now we can talk about last night. So it's fortuitous.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, had we have recorded yesterday, I was going to ask if we could congratulate, because it wasn't going to come out until the week after anyway. Yeah. But now we get to really retrospective it.
Yeah, which is really cool.
But so we decided to kick this on.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've had so much fun doing this. I am so looking forward to next week. To next year doing this again. I just think it's going to get bigger and stronger and funnier. And do you know what? I love listening to it before we roll it up to the feeds, because we have to go through it all, right, and make sure we've got all the bloopers out. And I laugh. And I figure if I'm listening to my own podcast and still getting a giggle out of you and I mucking around or saying stuff, that's pretty cool. I'm happy with that.
And you know what? In my mind, and I'm so grateful that we actually have people that want to listen to us, because that's really cool, and it's really nice that we're resonating with all of our followers out there. But even if we had no followers, I would still want to do this with you every week, right? Because this is where you and I get to hang out and talk about these ideas that we come up with and delve deeper into the issues.
And stuff comes to the forefront.
Haven't we had an opportunity to just interview the coolest people so far?
How's that for, like, looking at that retrospectively? We're only, what did you say, 26 episodes in?
6 months in.
We've had some of the most amazing people come through and sit with us and have a chat.
Yep.
World champions.
Yep. CEOs
of amazing natural companies.
top of their field fighting guys.
Yep.
Like
I know, Jerry Wetzel, and hence the shirt that you got from him as well. And Monique, what is it, athlete? No, ultra marathon.
Yep.
It was the ultra marathon that she did. And again, for the veteran space as
Yep.
well. And we've got other people coming in the future.
we do.
That just makes it as exciting as we continue on the journey.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely. It's really cool to have a space where you can sit down with these people that you would otherwise not really get to know,
Yep.
but kind of look up to from afar. But
Yeah.
when you bring them into the room and you get to ask all the nitty-gritty, questions, then it becomes like, wow, now I feel like we're friends.
Yeah.
It's not just,
And it humanizes them.
yeah,
You
which
know,
is really cool.
you see these amazing people achieving the most amazing things, and you get to sit down and have a chat with them, and you realize they're humans that had passion. They're humans that had drive. They're humans that wanted to excel, and they did the time. They put the effort in. Like, none of these superheroes were magically overnight.
Nope.
Success stories, right? From creating companies to ultra marathons to the most amazing self-defense programs and world champions. They all had to work. They had to walk the walk and talk the talk and do the effort. And you really get insight from that when you get to sit down and talk to them about it.
Absolutely.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it's so cool.
So we get to continue that.
We do. And as Kaz has hinted, we've got some pretty big names coming up too, which is exciting, but
We
we
do.
might leave that for next year.
So this is our last episode for this year.
It is.
We are closing down for a couple of weeks, but our first kickoff of next year is with our doctor.
Yes, which will be really cool.
So we'll get to start that journey as we move forward.
But the year's not over yet, because what
No.
else did we do? We had our first black belt grading,
We did. That
which
was
involved
massive.
Matt,
It
producer
did.
Matt,
It
which we got
did.
him on the episode at one point to interview him.
And there is a full episode about that. And that is mixed with so many emotions for me. That was, there was two things about Matt's accident. Well, there was three. So there was the injury and the brain trauma, obviously, and the impact that had on us. But the one thing that he wanted from the defence so much was the pinnacle. It was SAS. And that kind of got ripped away with the accident. And then the career, right? So he would never feel that success. When he came into Jiu-Jitsu, he rebranded his process. He not rebranded, but he remarked his pinnacle, right? So he was going to do Jiu-Jitsu and he was going to get his black belt. And that nobody was going to move that goalpost. Nobody was going to change that. That he was going to get that. And then, as we all know, and we've talked about it before, his hand got injured a couple of weeks before, and there was no way he was not going to go through with that. So his hand got more injured, but he got his black belt. You cannot take away from that point. And the black belt was not just the grading. The black belt was because you guys acknowledged that he had done the time, that he had the skills, that he had put the effort and the commitment into that, the past 11 years, and therefore he was worthy of going through for that. So the black belt doesn't just represent a day, it represents a commitment of years going through this martial arts and, really cementing the want and the drive and the need to hit that. But it was also a big first for you guys too.
It was, yeah. It was our first black belts that went through, which, is such a cool thing. Such a cool thing for Grant to be able to promote his first 3 black belts. And then he was supported too by his coach who came down and, all of the guys that he came up and I came up training with and all of our fellow black belt peers and things like that.
It was
as
a
well.
huge night.
There was, people that came across from your previous academy to come and support
the Rats all
Matt
came across,
and the other 2 guys because they know them as well. It's a small community,
Yes.
Jiu-Jitsu, right? And especially when you're in a small community like the Central Coast, it's like everyone knows everyone.
Yep.
To have the have any kind of territorial markers or no, we're not going there or this or that. It's just, it's silliness because we're all a bit weird that we do this in the first place. So
and we might as well all do it
why
together.
not share the weirdness, right? So
see, we're all a little left of centre.
so I'm told. I don't know. But you know, it was just it was just for us, it was a beautiful big night. It was a celebration. It was coming up to it. By the end of it, we were just like, we just want this over and done with now. We want these guys to get through. We want, you know, it's just been going. And I know for a fact that the three guys felt the same, you know. But I remember saying to them early on, you're going to get to the point where you just want this over and done with.
Yep.
And when that happens, you know you're ready.
Yeah.
Because before that, your mind's still trying to learn stuff or trying to, you know, put stuff into place. So, you know, it is what it is. But
it was a huge night.
it was such a good night.
And it was so full of emotion.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just people grappling or people doing things or people doing self-defense and, you know, some people sitting around watching. You felt every single person in the room and they were all there with the excitement and the adrenaline
And the pride.
And of
being part of something.
Yeah.
You know, even from the newest people on the mats to the most experienced people on the mats, everyone felt, I think, pride on that night. And how cool is this? And
how cool is it that they all got to know that they were a part of the journey too?
Exactly.
Like the three boys had probably rolled with just about everybody in that room.
Yep.
And that says something, right? That speaks volumes because you don't get to a black belt by doing it on your own.
You do not. That's true. It's an individual pursuit that you need a team to achieve.
Yeah.
Yep,
absolutely.
You can't do it by yourself.
Nope. So everybody got to be a part of that. Everybody got to say they were a part of that journey. So that was pretty huge. And, you know, there'll be more. That was the first of many to come, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we've already got our eyes set on possibly the next one. So. You know, and then we had some really cool people come out. We had Jerry. We had Fionn earlier in the year.
Yeah.
She came out and did a seminar. That was before we started the podcast.
It was, damn. Anytime you want to come back, Fionn.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on the podcast, Fionn. You know, and others that are, you know, it's just been such an awesome year. It feels really positive. Everything's such in a good place. You know, I think I've said it so many times that, you know, we're at the best part of our journey that we've ever been at. And I know that there's peaks and troughs to anything.
Yeah.
I just can't see it at the moment. You know, there's so much good happening across the board and so much stuff we can't even really talk about, but so much that's just positive.
Yep.
Such a positive mat culture, such a positive group of humans, such a united group of humans. So,
which is awesome, right? Yeah. And you get to take the credit for that too, though, because that's what you've built. That's the gym, the culture, the vibe. Like, you know, those that are like-minded, those that want to experience and be a part of that and contribute to that, stay. And those that don't.
That's exactly right.
And it works.
It does. It's real easy.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be hard at all.
No, that's exactly right.
We did this really fun thing the other night. You were there for it. Matt was there for it. So we were supposed to close the academy because we were informed
that was awesome.
Yeah, we were informed of a power outage that would have hit around halfway through the class.
Yep.
Anyway, So we'd all put it out on the socials. We're closed tonight, kids class only, and then no adults class after that. And for some reason, someone dropped a hint during the day, something about
So hang on. Let's go back a step for a second.
Oh, okay.
So right. Grant gets very excited and buys things. So you guys have the Jiu-Jitsu gym.
Yes.
And then right next door you have what?
We have a weights gym.
Right.
Yep.
And Grant's made it very grunge and garage type, real old school type setup, like, right?
Imagine going into a gym in the 80s. That's what you're looking at.
Yeah. And which is cool because that's me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yes. Thanks. And so he has set this up and he keeps buying pieces and he gets excited when he buys a new piece.
Yeah.
He got very excited with the most recent piece.
Yeah, he bought a huge cage, a huge octagon.
Yeah.
Is it an octagon or a hexagon? I don't know how many sides it has.
Yeah, I didn't count them. But the word huge is appropriate.
Yeah, it takes up 3/4 of the room.
And he got really excited about this cage. So he got it in and you all had to work real hard cleaning up, setting up.
Yep.
But you did that.
Yep.
And then go on.
Yeah, and then we get this this notice that we're losing power and, we cancel the class. And someone has put a post in the group suggesting a 16-man tournament knockout or something in the cage. Quintet in the cage that night. And Grant's just like, hell yeah, let's make this happen. I need 10 names. If we can get 10 names, it's on. So it was a bit slow moving to start with throughout the day. I was pretty convinced at about 1 o'clock that it wasn't going to happen. By 3 o'clock, he had his 10 names.
Yep.
By 4 o'clock, I think we turned it into a 4-team knockout kind of thing. With 4 men each.
Yep.
So that's 16 people in and 2 reserves that we had in case anyone sort of didn't arrive on the night or, whatever. You came in for it.
Yep.
We sat there. I filmed it live to our group. I should have done it to the page, but maybe next time.
Yeah.
But, oh, my goodness, it was just the
And by 6 o'clock, there would have had to have been easily 30 people in that room, I reckon.
Probably more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Grant thought maybe about 50 all up. Yeah.
So 50 people in this gym.
Yeah. Little room around a cage.
With a huge cage. And it was on.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
It was like Fight Club.
It really, you said that. I was sitting next to you.
Number one rule, we don't talk about
That's
fight.
right.
Whoops.
I love that movie. What's the number one rule, Rachel?
Yeah, don't talk about it.
Don't talk about Fight
Club. The world.
And so we were sitting there watching it and it was just match after match after match. And then when Grant said, right, all 4 of you from each team's get in, last man standing. And everybody stopped for a second and froze and went, is he serious? And Grant's like, yes, boom, it's on.
Because two teams drew.
Yeah.
So there was no winner. And
It
so
was
there was
hilarious.
no winning team to go against the winning team of the next two. So he was like, all right, whoever wins, whoever that last person standing wins, that's the team that wins.
Yep. And it was
chaos.
know what? It was hilarious about it and just fun was they're all from the same team.
Yes.
Right? They're all from the same team. But they were all in giving it their all. And not one of them came away from the end of the match not smiling.
That's right.
Win or lose, whatever it was, the crowd would amp up and 1 minute they were going for person A and the next minute they were going for person B. And in the same match, it didn't matter. And there was just this constant crossover of, instructions coming out. And then I had to leave because I had my grandkids there and it was just getting too late. But I laughed so much because you were going live streaming with it. So I got in the car straight away, put my phone up and stuck it on as I'm driving. Eyes on the road, Kaz, eyes on the road. It's like, oh, get him.
You can just listen to the audio.
Yeah, we did. So all the kids are in the car and they're trying to look over my shoulder as they're looking at and so then we came straight into the house and put it up on the computer on the big screen as well. And so we still got to remain a part of it through to the end. It was awesome.
And I made the comment that it was like I couldn't choose because they're all like my children.
Yeah.
And I just... It's like, how do you choose a favourite child? You don't.
Well, you quietly do. You just don't do it really loud. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But that's the kind of fun that we're having at the moment.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And it's so cool to see the people want it. And the people, like that, as you said, they could have just as easily have stayed at home, had the night off and gone, we're out, they're closed, we're good. None of them wanted that.
No.
They all got in and had a play.
Yep.
It was amazing.
Even people
cool.
that couldn't train, there was a couple of people there that currently aren't even current members because they're, I think one's just had a baby and one, they've got different life circumstances. They saw it in the group and they've come in. So that's so cool.
Yes.
Or they've followed the live streams. So that was really cool too.
So we have to do a live stream outside of the members next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And then, for me, it all came to a head last night.
Yeah.
That was really special.
That was amazing and so well deserved.
Our head coach came down to teach a seminar.
So not Iconic's head coach, your and
my
Grant's
coach.
head coach.
Yeah, so Grant's and my coach, Luke Beston, came down to do a seminar for our students.
Yep.
Which
Another amazing person on the mats.
He's
seminar.
incredible.
Yep.
And he's such a wonderful teacher, and he's so good at jiu-jitsu. And when you roll with him, you feel like a puppet on a string.
He was amazing last night because he made some comment at one point about his ankles. You know, he's been doing this a really long time, and he made a comment about his ankles not being great or something. And then you just watched him like flow through and it's like, really, dude? Like, don't make it look easy.
Oh, he makes jiu-jitsu look easy.
He really does.
He
Yeah,
does.
he really does.
But so he came down and did this beautiful seminar for our students. It was all free. It was just, his way of giving back, and then presented Grant with his 3rd degree on his black belt last night,
Which was amazing.
Yeah, and so I think we worked out he got his black belt like a day ago. So to the day.
Yeah, 9 years, right? 9 years to the day.
Yeah.
And the black belt for Grant, like we talk about what these guys went through, and it was high emotion. It was huge. But Grant's journey to black belt was completely different, right?
They had to go overseas to be tested under Hoyce and the Valenci brothers. It was, fairly shrouded in secrecy what they had to go through. If you look it up online, you can sort of read up a bit about how they do their black belt testing, but it's like a whole weekend, and they go through their test and they don't find out for a couple of days if they passed or not, and people don't pass.
Yep.
Like when Grant went over, I think he said, 31 people from all over the world went, and 19 or something like that passed.
Yeah.
So
it's not a guarantee.
It's not a guarantee.
Nothing's a guarantee.
And you pay a lot of money to go overseas.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So to walk away still a brown belt, that would be very humbling.
But also I think, and I don't know, you tell me, like you're married to this man, you know him better than anybody else. What did that mean to him, do you think, getting that last night?
Everything to him.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Because it comes from his coach, and he respects Luke beyond, I think, anything.
Yep.
The love that he has for that man, and to be seen by him, it means the world to him.
But it's also like he's done the work, right?
Oh, of course.
Luke's not just giving it away.
No, hell no. That man is on the mats like 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Rolling his ass off in just about every. It's very rare that he takes a night off.
Yep.
Recently he's taken a little bit of time off because I say recently, a little bit of time. He took like 4 days off because he was away.
Yep.
He didn't train for 4 days because he was off with, teaching actual school teaching stuff.
Yeah.
But when he's there, he's rolling. When he's there, he's training.
Yep.
He's always learning. He's always seeking out new information. He's always, excited whenever he can get a seminar happening because he wants to learn. He wants to be the student. It's his whole world,
And you see that in his delivery, whether it's the teens, and he loves coaching those teens, and the teens love being coached by him.
Yeah.
You see them in their reactions. We see it with our girls all the time. Or the adults. The energy doesn't change. He doesn't give less to the teens than he gives to the adults, or less to the adults than he gives to the teens. He doesn't give less to a white belt than he does to a brown belt. His whole world is let's make them better, whoever they are, for as long as they want to be there and they're willing to do the work too.
That's right.
And that's important.
I think that's his only caveat.
Yep.
His only request is if I'll teach you, I'll give you everything I have, but you've got to want it too.
Yeah.
And the only times he gets frustrated with students is when they just don't put in the effort.
Yeah.
Then he's like,
come and take it from me. I'm not giving it to you.
I've seen him flat. I've seen him go through stuff at work, where, might have had a really hard day with some students or whatever, and he comes in and he's, might have had a big week or something. He's all kind of, peaked to this moment where he's like, oh man, I've got nothing left in the tank today.
Yeah.
And he steps on the mats and you can see he's flat, but by 10 minutes in, he's got that energy coming back again, and it's like, oh, no, he's back.
It's like the helium got pumped back in again,
like
and the
balloon
Jiu-Jitsu
inflated. Brings the energy for him. So, it's just he lives, breathes it, everything. So, I couldn't imagine anyone more deserving of that than him.
Yeah. So huge congratulations.
Yeah.
Shout
really,
out.
really special.
And, we're not on the mats at the moment, I'm back on days doing some drills, and I'm building that up, but we're not in nighttime classes at the moment because I'm usually asleep by 6 o'clock. But there was not a shit chance in hell we weren't going to be in gi on those mats last night. A, doing the seminar with Luke, but B, there was no way we were going to miss that either.
Yeah.
So that was amazing and it was very special. And, talking of husbands, we know Matt hasn't been able to roll since August. But that's probably the other thing that I'm forever grateful for this last year has given us, because that could have happened anywhere. When it happened with you guys in your school and he was off the mats, the encouragement to come back and coach, be here every day, give to the kids, give to the veterans, that's given him a space. That's given Matt enjoyment, and he loves being there, a part of the teens class too. He comes home and he'll tell stories about the different things that he's been able to give one of the kids, or he's been able to correct a kid here and correct a kid there. And when you guys have been away and you've asked him to step in and coach different classes and that, he loves it.
Yep.
And he lights up and it gives him another purpose. And so that's another thing that has come from this year as well, that ability. He'd not had that previously. He'd had it with a friend of ours over in California. Jason's got a gym over there, and Matt went over there for 3 weeks and coached with him and came back and loved it, had an amazing time doing it. So, yeah, when you ask what did we get, what were some of the milestones that we've achieved this year, that's been really important too, and really precious for me as well, because I love seeing my husband light up too. And I know what this sport can give him.
It's a pretty cool thing.
It's amazing. You know what though? I forgot to bring something that's very, very special. Surprise! Okay, so we were going to end it, but then I remembered I've had shirts done and we're going to do a giveaway.
Yes.
So we've got a few shirts, a couple of different sizes. What do we need for them to be able to win a shirt?
Oh, gosh. You've put me on the spot.
I have.
Well, let's do another social media thing.
Excellent.
Right. So
Yes.
like us, or give us a 5-star rating.
Give us a 5-star rating and shoot us a question.
Shoot us a question and just like our socials, and maybe share us on your story or something like that.
And share us on it. You've got to tag people, share us.
As I said, you just put me on the spot, but I'll put that up on the socials.
Excellent.
What they need to do. If you follow the rules and regulations and the T&Cs, it will be all good.
So we'll put it up. So if you want to see a shirt like ours, and let me just show you here.
It's really cool. The front's really cool, but the back's the bomb.
So we've got the Gi Spot logo in the shirt, and then on the back, we've got the Gi Spot podcast. I'd hit that. So make sure that you get out there and find out from Rach what the rules are to be able to get these shirts. And I just want to do a really big shout out to Miranda, a really good friend of ours, a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, an amazing woman who also has a new company now, Firebird Customs. All right, so make sure you have a look at her stuff. This is the kind of quality product that she's producing. If you've got gis or you've got shirts or anything like that, she can run the logos and the designs for you. So thank you, Miranda. That's amazing.
That's so cool, Miranda. Thank you so much.
It's cool, right? It's so pretty.
It is pretty. It's shiny. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's kind of got a glitter to it.
So
it's beautiful.
So we've got a bunch of these to give away. Make sure you check out the socials so you know how to get your hands on a Gi Spot t-shirt.
So that will be going up when this episode drops. That competition will be live.
Absolutely.
And just another reminder that we will be closed, not on air. I don't know.
Yeah, we're going camping.
We're not going to be in the recording studio. How's that? For 2 weeks over Christmas and New Year's. We'll let you have your fun, and everyone goes away and gets out of routine and stuff. But we'll be back.
We will.
Early January.
We will. With Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil is in the house. What's your hope, Kaz?
Look, do you know what?
As we wrap up this year.
My hope is that, again, same as pretty much every episode, if you know someone that's not doing jiu-jitsu and you think they should be, my hope is that you share our podcast with them, because maybe we're just enough to get them across the line. My hope is also that everybody out there, I'm wishing you all an amazing Christmas, a fantastic and safe new year. Be with the ones you love, be with the ones that you like, and fuck the rest of them off.
I love you.
My hope is you do that. What's your hope, lovely?
I don't even know if I can top that, Kaz, honestly.
Hey, it's all a choice.
I don't know. Just, you know what? We've had ups and downs this year.
Yep.
You know, we've had some rough times. We've had some great times. And when you look back, when you're in it, the tough times seem really bad.
Yep.
But when you're at the end and you can look back over the year, I mean, we didn't even talk about your surgery.
Oh, yeah, we had them.
You know.
We've talked.
I know we've talked about it. I know,
yeah.
but that was a big part of it,
was.
you know. And when we're in it, it's really like you're in the bog.
Yep.
But when you come out and you just keep pushing and keep striving and keep moving forward, when you come out the other end and you can look back on it, it's kind of like, oh, yeah. Oh, but look at all those other things that happened that were really cool.
Yep.
So keep striving forward.
Yep.
Keep moving forward. Try not to look back too much. You know, it's good to look back because that's where we learn stuff.
Yep.
But you don't want to live back there. And you don't want to live too far in the future either. You've got to kind of look for today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
And just keep turning up.
Yep. Keep showing up. Whatever it is.
Whatever it is. If it's life, if it's work, if it's jiu-jitsu, if it's family, just keep turning up.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know, that's where success is made.
Get rid of the fucktards.
I'm not saying it, Kaz.
Come on, just once.
No. All right. We
Happy
hope
Christmas.
you guys have an absolutely amazing time over the festive season.
Absolutely.
Please like us, subscribe, do all the things, and get yourself in the running for one of these awesome T-shirts. And we'll see you next year.
See you in 2025, everybody.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Bye.
That's a wrap.
Done.
This podcast is a My Broken Soldier production.
And brought to you by Iconic Jiu-Jitsu.